Wake up in the grind, clock ticking, 20 minutes flat, freedom main-handed, knives built where the real ones at.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of 20-Minute Freedom Project. I am your host, Josh Lopez, and this show is for those who want ownership, discipline, freedom, and to build a life that they've always wanted, one that is earned and not handed to them. Today's episode is why you'll want to quit. And before we go any further, I want to say this clearly. If you started applying the rule of 5, if you committed to daily execution, if you finally said, I'm done drifting, this episode is for you. Because at this point, you're going to want to stop. But maybe not. At some point, you will be in the middle of doing everything right. And you will still feel like quitting. And if you understand why that is happening, you can beat it. If you don't understand it, you'll think something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You're just stepping into a part of the process most people never survive. Let me tell you about a moment that I'm not really proud of. A few years ago, I was deep into building something. I won't get into the details, but what matters is that I was doing everything right. I had a plan. I had the discipline. I was executing daily, and I was miserable. Not because it was hard. I can handle hard, but because it felt pointless. I'd been at it for weeks, maybe 2 months or so, and nothing had changed. No visible results, no validation, no progress I could point to and say, see, it's working. One morning, I remember sitting in the car before going into the gym, and I had this thought. What if this is all for nothing? Not dramatic, just quiet doubt. And that's when I realized how dangerous this moment really was. Because I wasn't thinking about quitting. Because I failed. I was thinking about quitting because I was bored. The novelty had worn off. The excitement was gone. And all that was left was the work. And the work by itself doesn't feel like enough. I didn't quit that day, but it came close. And the only reason I didn't was because I knew exactly what was happening. I was in the middle. And the middle is where most people break. That is what this episode is about. Most people expect consistency to feel rewarding. They think if I do the things every day, I should feel motivated. I should feel confident. I should see results quickly. I should feel proud. I should feel like a different person. But that's not how real change works. Consistency doesn't feel exciting. It feels repetitive. It feels boring. It feels unimpressive. And in the beginning, it often feels heavier than doing nothing. Because doing nothing has one huge advantage. It doesn't challenge your identity. When you start executing, you start confronting the truth. You can't hide behind intention anymore. You can't hide behind someday. You either are doing or you're not. And that gap between effort and the visible results is where most people quit. Not because the system has failed, but because reality didn't match their fantasy. They thought it would feel like a movie montage. They got a real life instead. And the real life is quiet, uneventful, and sometimes very boring. People don't quit on day one. Day one feels good. It feels clean. It feels like a reset. Day 2 feels hopeful. Day 3 still has momentum. But somewhere between day 6 and day 10, the brain starts bargaining. And sometimes it's later than that. Sometimes it doesn't happen for weeks, maybe months. But ultimately, the novelty wears off and the excitement fades. You've done the work long enough to feel tired, but not long enough to see the results. And then that thought creeps in. Is this even working? That is a dangerous question because it sounds rational, but it's not rational. It's a withdrawal symptom. You're withdrawing from the old identity, the one that you are moving past, the one you are leaving to become a new person with a new identity, with new values. Here's what's happening psychologically. Your brain is wired for immediate payoff. And now it's even worse with all these instant gratification things. Next day shipping. You can get things instantaneously. You want things right now. And new things create novelty. Novelty spikes dopamine. Consistency, delayed reward. Your brain doesn't like that. So when you repeat the same action every day, your brain starts whispering, this is boring. This isn't productive. There must be a better way. Maybe you should optimize this. Or maybe you should wait until you have the energy. Maybe you should do more research. That's not intuition. That's your brain trying to escape discomfort. Consistency removes emotional reward and replaces it with delayed reward. Most people have never trained that muscle. They've trained the opposite. Chase excitement, chase novelty, chase that feeling. And they wonder why they can never seem to stay consistent. I'm talking to myself here too, by the way, because I've dealt with this every single week. There are mornings where I do not want to do the work. I'd rather be scrolling. I'd rather spend time elsewhere. And I have to call it what it is. It's resistance. It's not logic. It's resistance and looking for comfort. The most dangerous part of that voice that tells you to quit is this. It doesn't tell you to quit dramatically. It tells you to quit in new ways that sound smart. It doesn't scream, give up. It comes in calmly, charmingly, like a financial advisor for your comfort. You've earned a break. You've been consistent. One day won't really matter that much. You can double down tomorrow. You should focus on balance. You've got a lot going on right now. It's the voice that tells you to compromise. And compromise is how discipline dies. And it's how that you have gotten to the exact position in life that you are now. And that may not be dramatic failure, but you have given yourself tiny permissions, day over day, year over year. This voice is not trying to destroy your life in one grand move. It's trying to win today because it knows if it wins today, it gets a shot tomorrow. Many, many people believe in this phrase. If this was working, it would feel better by now. That is a false statement. If it's working, it often feels worse before it feels better because your old identity is dying and the new one hasn't fully formed yet. You're in between. It's like if you're going to the gym. You start going to the gym. You start feeling sore, tired, sometimes a little grouchy. You have not gained the physical ability to do the things you're doing yet without the discomfort. Me personally, I like the pain. I might bitch and complain about it, but I feel that if I do not get that pain at the end of the workout or the next day, I have cheated myself in some way. And just like that gym and those feelings of pain from your muscles, the middle never really feels good. And that's why people quit. They don't quit because it's impossible. They quit because it's uncomfortable and not see the results yet. Let's take a moment to go back to that fitness example. Say you want to lose weight, get lean, build muscle, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You start training and eating better. Week 1, you feel sore, tired, and maybe a little heavier because your body is adjusting. Week 2, you look in the mirror and think, nothing's really changing. Nothing's happening. All I have is pain. And that voice starts. See? You knew this wouldn't work. Your metabolism is different. You're too busy for this. Just start again next week. But the simple truth is you don't become unhealthy in a week. So why would you expect a week of discipline to erase years of habits? People don't fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they aren't prepared for the delay. That delay in results. There's a concept that explains this perfectly. The plateau of latent potential. You're putting in the work, but the results are stored, not shown yet. Think on ice warming from 25 degrees to 31 degrees. Nothing changes. Then, at 32 degrees, it starts melting. Most people quit when the temperature is only 31 degrees. They weren't failing. They were too early. That's why this episode matters. Because if you can survive the valley, you can get the breakthrough. But most people never make it that far. They bail right before the shift, right before everything matters, and right before everything starts changing. Here's another idea. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person that you wish to become. Every action is a vote, no matter what. That means that you do your 5 actions on a day. You don't feel like it. You're not just completing tasks. You're voting. You're proving. You are collecting receipts. And identity is built on evidence, not affirmations. The reason you don't feel the disciplined version of you yet is because you don't have enough evidence. So you have to keep putting in the work and casting those votes. And the vote that matters the most is the one that you cast when you don't feel like it. Let me paint a picture. It's early, still dark. Alarm goes off. There is no hero moment. Just a sound that you've heard thousands and thousands of times. You don't jump up. You just lay there. And the conversation starts. You can skip today. You've been consistent. You need the sleep. 10 more minutes. Your hand reaches for the phone like it has a mind of its own. And that's the part nobody talks about. It's not the big decision. It's the tiny, almost unconscious decisions. You hit snooze or you shut it off. And nothing bad happens. The world doesn't collapse and no one calls you out. That's why this is dangerous. Because there's no penalty for delaying. Later that day, maybe at night, something hits. Quiet disappointment. A subtle irritation with yourself. Not because you missed a workout. Because you broke trust with yourself. And you may not say it out loud, but your body feels it. I can't trust you. That's the real cost. Not the missed action, the erosion of your self-trust. Habit change is not just willpower. It's mechanics. Every habit has a loop. Cue, routine, and a reward. Your old habit has a clean loop. The cue is tired, stressed, bored. Routine is scroll, snack, skip, delay. The reward, relief right before the new habit. Reward is relief right now. Your new habit, the cue might be tired, stressed, and bored just like before, but the routine is do the hard thing. Your reward, it's not that much yet. So the brain says, this loop sucks. I want the old loop back because the old loop pays instantly. So when you're in day 6 to 10, maybe later, what you're craving is not success. You're craving the old reward, relief. And the brain prefers relief over growth every single time. It's so used to the old you. And people don't quit because they're lazy. They quit because they confuse boredom with failure. They confuse fatigue with a sign that they should stop. They expect the work to feel easy. good, immediate. They tie their identity to outcomes too early. They have disguised the environment to support the new habit. And that last one is important because most people try to white knuckle their way into consistency. But if your environment is designed for comfort, comfort will win every time because it's familiar and it's easy. But here is what makes consistency sustainable. There are 4 principles that make behavior change stick. 1, make it obvious. If your 5 actions are vague, you'll quit. Work on the business is vague. Get in shape is vague. Obvious is send 5 outreach messages before 9 a.m. Write 3 words before checking your phone. Pack lunch the night before. Obvious means you don't have to decide. You have to execute. Number 2 is make it attractive. If your actions feel like punishment, you'll quit. Attractive doesn't mean easy. It means connected. Tie your 5 actions to a clear why. Not, I should, but I'm building the man or woman who keeps their word with themselves. 3, make it easy. This is where ego screws people up. They make the action so big, then they miss a day. Then shame hits, and they spiral. Easy means reduce friction. If your action is work out, define the minimum. If it's a crazy day, set 1. The goal isn't intensity. The goal is staying in the identity. Number 4, make it satisfying. This is huge early on. The results aren't satisfying in the beginning. So you must manufacture a short-term reward, not a cheap meal, a reward that reinforces identity. Check mark on the tracker. Streak count. I kept my word today. Written in a journal. A quick voice note to yourself. Day 7 done. Satisfying means I won today. Here's a principle that will be a little brutal, but it is definitely worth its weight. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new habit. Missing once happens because life happens, but missing twice is where your identity flips. So the rule is simple. You can miss once. You cannot miss twice. If you miss, your next job is not to punish yourself. Your next job is to re-enter the identity immediately. That's how winners are built. Not by being perfect, but recovering fast. Now picture this. You're sitting in your car. The engine's off. Maybe you have your hand in the steering wheel. You're parked outside somewhere you don't want to go. Maybe it's a gym, meeting, interview, hard conversation. Your brain begins to offer exits. You can reschedule. You can do it tomorrow. You're not ready. It's not the right time. And nobody sees that fight because it's invisible. But this is the moment where identity gets written. You either open the door or you don't. And if you don't, your brain learns we retreat when it's uncomfortable. That becomes your default. So the question isn't, how do I feel? The question is, what do I do when fear shows up? Operators take action anyway. I want you to fast forward your life a little bit. You're older. It's just you, alone with your thoughts. You're not haunted by the things you've tried. You're haunted by the things you didn't. The workouts you skipped, the business you delayed, the conversations you avoided, the faith you never built, the standards you kept saying you'd live by sometime soon. Regret is not always loud. Regret is often quiet, and it sits in the background and asks, what if you stayed? What if you didn't quit in the middle? And that question gets heavier with time. This episode is to keep you from carrying that weight. A drifter quits when it gets quiet. An operator stays when it gets quiet. Anyone can perform when they feel motivated. Operators perform when they don't. And that's why the gap between people becomes massive. Not because someone is special, not because someone had luck, but because some are consistent and some are not. Some are willing to put in the work and some are not. So next time you feel like quitting, do this. You're going to name it. Say, this is resistance. And then you're going to shrink it. You're going to make it small. What is the smallest version of my action that I can complete today? It doesn't have to be big. It can be small. But you are going to take the first smallest step towards that to complete it. And then you're going to complete it. You're going to win the day. Don't have to try to win the year, but you have to win the moment and the day. The smallest step to win the day, to get your day accomplished. And then you're going to mark it down. You're going to track everything. You're going to make it satisfying. Maybe it's crossing it out. This is where a notebook and paper becomes so handy. Well, you can check it off in your task list or whatever on your computer or your phone. There is something so satisfying to taking a pen and crossing out that thing that you had to do. And then you are going to move on. Don't debate. Don't negotiate. Don't reopen the decision. The mistake is not quitting once. The mistake is quitting your new habit. So I have a question for you. Where in your life are you quitting? Not because something is wrong, but because something stopped feeling exciting. And what would happen if you stayed 10% longer than you normally do? That's where the breakthrough is. Not in the new strategy, not in the new endurance, or being able to go through things longer. How much longer? That's not a new strategy. It's how long can you stay? Stick and stay, it's bound to pay. There's a reason that's there. Because staying longer equates to accomplishing more in your life, getting more done, staying when everyone else quits and gives up. And here is your challenge. For the next 14 days, do your 5 daily actions. No renegotiation. If you miss once, you do not miss twice. If your day is chaos, you shrink the action, but keep the identity. And every night, ask yourself one question. Did I keep my word today? That's it. Not did I get results? Did I keep my word? Because self-trust is built there. Most people don't fail at consistency. They just purely abandon it. Not because it didn't work, but because it didn't entertain them and they got bored. If you can stay when it's boring, when it's quiet, when no one's watching, when the results are not visible yet, you'll separate yourself from most people without even doing anything dramatic or over the top. That's how freedom is built. Not in big hype moments, in daily integrity and actions. If this episode hit home, share it with someone who's in the middle right now. And remember, freedom is not built in moments of intensity. It's built by people who stay when it would be easier to leave. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and I will catch you guys on the next one.